have always been real. Now after all this time, tell me, can't you feel? My feelings for you have always been real. Now after all this time, tell me, can't you feel? Tell me, can't you feel? Tell me, can't you feel? Tell me, can't you? Tell me, can't you? Tell me, can't you feel? Now it's more on me, more you are. Now it's more on me.
What's up Raiders, a big hi and welcome to your favorite channel. I hope आप सब मज़े में हैं and आप सब ने आज का इस वीडियो का thumbnail देख के तो समझ ही गए होंगे. I'm gonna talk about the bike maintenance. Now these are the tips and tricks that I've learned over a period of time on how to maintain the bike, and I'm gonna share that with you. It's a very important thing to keep your bike in a healthy condition because that saves you some money, also gives the best performance when in need. Right? So let's get on to the 5 tips that you could do yourself before you jump onto the bike for the next ride. So first thing that we need to check is basically the tires, right? Ensure that the tires are well inflated and does not have any sort of deformity, right? That's the most overlooked thing for a lot of people. They don't check their tires before or after they kind of have stopped the ride. They basically just kind of get on the bike, push on the key and just start and leave, right? So tires are quite essential, and the first step in checking that the bike's tires are well inflated, does not have any sort of deformation. Check the tires visually to make sure saying that there are no cuts or sort of deformation on the tire. The sides are pretty clean and basically it does not have any sort of damage on it, right? Also push the tires to make sure saying that it's basically got the required air in it. The tire pressure, the air pressure is available, right? So that you could at least ride this thing. The second check that we are supposed to do is about the bike's liquids. Normally the issues with the liquid is that people compare it like cars, saying that the coolant or typically the engine oil does not get lost. However, the bike loses the liquids very fast depending on the riding styles, depending on the weather conditions and many other factors, right? So you need to check that the bike has got the required liquid and can run safely. On the bikes, to check the engine liquid, you have basically got a glass reservoir that you can use and check if the bike has got the required liquid in it. You can just go ahead and kind of tilt the bike a bit to see that the liquid in the reservoir gets risen up a bit, right? Ensure that the glass is clean and you're able to see the liquid in it. Also, what you're going to check is about the brake liquid, which you can see it as part of this reservoir across in the glass, right? So this reservoir shows the brake liquid that it is available. Also, if your bike has basically got a radiator, then you would have this coolant as well, right? Ensure that it is definitely till the required mark, right? It's slightly above minimum in my case, right? So that's important that the bike has got the required coolant in it. Third component is about checking the bike's mechanical parts, right? Bikes like these come with ABS and a huge disc brake, right? The disc on this particular front wheel is quite big enough, so you need to check that the disc is not damaged, the ABS rim is absolutely perfect, right? There is no visual damage to the rim. All that is a very mandatory thing. While checking the mechanical components, you also need to see that the chain and its shaft is actually kind of well in order. There's absolutely no dirt or debris or mud left in the chain section, so you just have to kind of visually see that the chain area is clean, because this is going to be helping the bike to run very smoothly. And finally, give a good pull to the throttle just to make sure saying that it is running free and it's going back across. There's absolutely no blockage to it. And also make sure that you pull the brake levers to make sure saying that they are free as well and there is no sort of blockage on the brake levers as well. Okay, so step number 4 is to check about the safety indicators or headlights of the bike. These are quite important. A lot of people don't realize it, but then when you're riding on a highway, your indicators are the real reasons to save your life, right? I mean, if you're turning and if your indicators are not working, well, that could be dangerous. So it's important to check the safety indicators before you get onto your ride. To check the safety indicators, what you need to do is just put in the key and just turn on the ignition. What will happen is it will lit up all the warning lights or typically the signals that are required as a check. You will have basically the engine check, the temperature, the ABS, right? I've just pulled on the side stand, so side stand indicator is just off now, neutral, oil check and stuff, right? I'll just do a single crank and it should get started. Check the kill switch button, it's working fine. Right now what we need to check is a few of the things like indicator. The moment I pressed it onto the left, the indicator started blinking, right? And just to make sure that it's blinking, yes it is, right? Let's look at the right side of it and see that the indicators are blinking. Yes, right, so the indicators are on. I just now need to kind of test the lights of the bike, ensure that the lights are on. Yes, the lights are on, and it's basically on the low beam settings right now. Okay, so it's time for step number 5, and for that we basically have to do a bit of a visual check, because that's regarding the electrical wires of the bike. Electrical wires checking is not going to be easy because it requires you to kind of take down the whole bike apart, and that's not going to be very easy for a lot of people. But it's a crucial component, and you should check visually the electrical wires in the bike just to make sure that there are no exposed wires in the bike, and ensure that there is enough adequate coverage or protections on those wires. Bikes like Dominar come out with a lot of wirings in it because it's a high performance bike, and for those wires, they some of the wires are kind of through this particular section, which is the handlebars, and all that you can do is typically just check them visually that they are not exposed, there is an adequate rubber coating on it, and there is no damage to the wires, right? Some of these wires that I've put in is for this particular additional button that I've kind of put in. That's for the additional fog lamps that I've assembled, right? So for those I've kind of made sure saying that there's adequate amount of space, and then there is no tension to the wire causing any problem. A well-maintained bike means a better performance. Following these 5 steps, or the pre-checks as I say, is going to make sure that your bike is running in an absolute perfect condition. However, what I would recommend is that you give your bike to the service stations at an interval of every 6 months or 5,000 kilometers to make sure that your bike is taken care during those services. Well, that's all for this video, and I hope you liked it, and if you did, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe and show your support as always.